Hi there everybody, this is Barry for another Breck After School Music Lesson video. Okay, so this lesson is going to be about the bass guitar. Okay, so here you have the bass guitar. Alright, this actually is a 3/4 scale bass guitar. Sometimes the full scale bass guitar is actually a little longer. So fortunately this one fits on the screen. Nice. Okay, so you'll see that it looks a lot like a guitar. It's got a body, it's got a neck, it's got a headstock, it's got tuning machines that you're going to use to tune the strings. It's got strings, it's got a fingerboard and frets on it and fret marker dots. And it's got a pickup and some knobs and an input jack. And then a bridge and a nut that the strings stretch between, just like on a guitar. Now the difference is first of all, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 strings. That's actually not the main difference, because there are basses with 6 strings, there are basses with 5 strings, there are basses with 8 strings. There are all kinds of different basses. The traditional electric bass design was a takeoff of the upright bass, the part of the strings family, the orchestral strings family, which has 4 strings on it. And they're the same strings: E, A, D, and G. Eddie, 8, dynamite, goodbye. Okay? Just like on a guitar, we have our frets, and we're going to count them. It's the spaces between the frets that we count. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we have our fret markers on 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then here on 12, on the 2 dots, and this is going to be the octave. So if I play E here, and then I play E here, this is twice the frequency. This is the octave of the open E. Okay, so like I said, I've got E, A, D, and G. Okay, now one of the things that is really important when you're learning how to play the bass guitar is that you want to learn how to sort of be in control of the sound of the instrument, because when we play bass frequencies together, even if they're nice, sometimes they don't sound that nice together. That's a major third. That should be, if I play that up an octave, sounds really nice, but down here it's kind of in a muddy register, and the frequencies are too low for the waveforms to work well or in a way that's pleasing to us, in my opinion. That's just a question of opinion. So one of the things we're going to want to do is we're going to think about muting a lot. Now, when you're playing the bass, just like on the guitar, you want to have a good hand position. You have your fingers squared off across 4 frets. On the bass, that's especially important because the frets, are farther away from one another, and you're really going to want to use all of your fingers. Incidentally, on the upright bass, the frets are this space between the notes. There are no frets. It's a fretless instrument. So you have to do it by ear and know the spacing. And the spaces between the notes, between the half steps, are actually a little bit further away. And traditionally it's played like this with these 3 fingers, and the ring finger isn't employed until you're further down on the neck, and then you may use it, but the traditional technique is like this. On the electric bass, however, we're going to use all 4 fingers, 1 finger across each of 4 frets. Okay, now that's just to establish a hand position. Right now we're not going to worry about really stretching the hand. If you're more comfortable just holding the 1 note with the 1 finger, that's going to be okay for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to press down on this 3rd fret here on the E string, and this is going to be the note G. Let me show you why. This is the note E, and if you know your chromatic scale up the piano keys, then it's going to be F, F sharp, and then G. Okay, now what we're going to do is I want to play a simple, what we call a 1-4-5 progression. So 1-4-5, I'll get into maybe some other theory lessons about what 1, 4, and 5 are, but for really every key, you're going to want to know what 1, 4, and 5 are in order to have a good solid grasp of musicality in general. So, okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to start, on the note. We're making G our root note, okay? Now if I go up the major scale in G, which I'll show you another time how to do, I'm going to count the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to play the 4 note here. So it's going to go like this. Now you can choose any rhythm you want, but I recommend choosing a combination of short and long notes. You can go now. If that's challenging for you and this is one of your first times on the bass, that's okay. Maybe just start with making the one note and repeat the one note and just try going. Now as you get comfortable with that, now you're going to want to, you can use the one finger for now, but I'll get into later that really using both fingers like this, alternating, is the most efficient. And sometimes, I mean, there are lots of ways to do it. James Jamerson, one of the greatest bass players of all time, just used the one finger. So that can work. Some people use their thumb. There are lots of ways. I use 2 fingers like this, and I rest my thumb here on the pickguard or on the pickup so that I have a little bit of an anchor and control, and I point my fingers down at the strings. Actually, this is worth noting. When I play the strings, I don't hook my finger underneath the string. I notice a lot of students when they first get on the bass, that's their inclination, is to hook their finger underneath the string and pull out on the string like that to try to make a sound. Now it's not that that's not a cool sound that you could use sometimes. However, I recognize learning how to make a nice clean, sweet note on the bass. To do that, you're going to want to pull the string up toward your thumb here, not up away from the body, but up a little bit, but toward the body of the instrument, and then just let it release. And you won't hear the fret buzz and the fingerboard. You'll hear. You can try with both fingers if you want, or just the one. Point another thing out here. The whole time that I'm doing this, the rest of these fingers and the rest of this finger are gently resting on the other strings. Now if they weren't, you hear a little bit of a ring, and I want to avoid that, so I want to go. We heard a tiny little bit of a ring, but it was muted by my fingers. So you're going to really want to focus on getting a clean and tight, controlled sound on the bass, so that when you're playing, you can choose whether notes are ringing together or whether they're not, which most often you're going to not want them to. There are lots of ways to make them ring together nicely, but you're going to want it to be on purpose. Okay. So now what we're going to try to do, we've gone from the 1, and if you're comfortable playing that and we're moving back and forth, we're going from the 1 just to the same fret on the very next string as the 4th note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if we kept going up the scale, we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the note we're looking for. We can keep going 6, 7, and then 1 again. But this 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the note we're going to go to next after the 4th note. So we're going to go like this. Slower for you, is I'm going from the 1 to the 4 again is too involved for you. For some people that may be too simple. For some it may be too involved. You can just try doing this. Now the reason that I'm keeping this simple, this doesn't seem like a lot, or maybe it does to you, but if you have a little bit of experience, it's still worth checking out this exercise, because the most important thing now is to be able to do this in rhythm, in time. So here, let's pull out a metronome for a second and try to make sure that when we play, okay, that's a little bit too fast. When we play, it's going to stay consistently in time. So let's turn the metronome up a little bit so hopefully you can hear it. Okay, so here we go. Now when you get a little better at this, you can try it with different fingers. If you want. Okay, so that's a really fun exercise that you can try to learn how to play 1, 4, and 5 on the bass. Now the reason that's great is because that little L shape from here works anywhere on the bass that you have another string above you. So those are all 1, 4, and 5 in different keys. Now, I'll show you in the next video how this works, but you can also, for instance, invert that. So if I'm playing, I can instead play that's for the next video. So here's your first video on the bass and on how to make a sound out of the bass and how to play a simple 1, 4, 5 progression. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time. Bye-bye.